The annual report project. This is a review of the instructions for the Managerial Accounting Annual Report Project. It's part of financial accounting, meant to be a summary of all the information that you've learned in financial accounting, and this project occurs in the very first part of the Managerial Accounting course at the Citadel, BADM 212. The purpose of the project is to allow students to analyze a current annual report for a U.S. publicly held company. Let me focus really strongly on this key word, U.S. publicly held company. So I've had students do the entire project on Budweiser, only to come to me at the end and say, oh, we just found out that Budweiser is owned by a Belgium. It's incorporated in Belgium. It's owned by a Belgium company. And so they had to start from scratch. Don't make that mistake. This project provides students with the opportunity to learn so much about researching and analyzing a U.S. company. While the due date for the project that I'm making this recording on is in the summer, on July 18th, no doubt the due date when you will be listening to this project might be different. So keep in mind that I'm making one recording every couple of years, and it will cover instructions for a couple of years. This project must be done in Microsoft Word. You may not use Google Docs. You may not use any Apple products. It has to be Microsoft Word because of the embedded Excel spreadsheets and because of the requirement that it be submitted electronically so that I can grade it with tracked changes. Here's your rubric. A lot of it has to do with the clarity of the content, showing that you understand the fact that you completed all of the parts of it, the accuracy of your work, and mechanics, meaning English, how well your writing style is, your spelling, your grammar. So you're going to select a publicly held company in the retail industry. For the most part, this is going to be a December 31st year end. Please read this paragraph to understand more about what if your company does not end on December 31st. Do not select a company that has incurred a loss, because doing so is going to skew your work. Many students, even the strongest students, have said, oh, I can handle this. I'll take, for example, Amazon. A year ago, Amazon recorded a loss. Students tried to do the annual report project on Amazon, and it didn't work because of the negative ratios that you end up calculating. So if you use the wrong company, again, you'll have to redo the project. You're going to be using the internet a lot. For example, the very first thing you're going to do is to look for 10K. If you have paid attention in CAS, you understand that the 10K is the official annual report. It's required to be loaded to the internet if it's a publicly held company. And by Googling the company's name and the word 10K, you'll be able to find the annual report project. Take a quick second just to show you how easy it is. If I say Apple 10K, then it immediately shows me the SEC filings, which shows me that I'm not getting summary information, but I'm immediately going to Apple Computer's SEC filings. I'm going to be looking for annual filings, knowing that this is an annual report. I got my choice of formats. It looks like their most recent one is November 3rd, and knowing how fast Apple is, it will immediately come up, and there you go. And all of the information's here. For example, I can immediately pop over to the financial statements, and there's the statement of operations, also known as the income statement. So let's move back to the annual report project instructions, and I want to remind you many times that you will complete each question with 4 or 5 clear, concise, grammatically correct sentences in Microsoft Word. Failure to do so means that I'm going to make comments, and based on these comments, the grades will be reduced. Late projects per day or partial day, 5 points. Also, you will answer this project, you will do this project here. So for example, if the company that you have chosen is Apple, And the date of your company's annual report, as we just saw, was November, was it the 3rd, 2017, based on the timing that I'm recording this video. Then you're going to complete it, and you will leave these instructions because it's important for me to be able to see what you answer. In the past, students who deleted the instructions meant that I couldn't really tell sometimes what questions you were answering, and many students skipped questions completely. Again, several assignments have an Excel spreadsheet. We'll see that in a minute. Be sure you round no more than 2 decimal places. That's like pennies. $25.20. So if, for example, your company is showing in millions, then please don't start putting zeros. I'm talking about when you're calculating a ratio. So maybe the current ratio is 1.75. Don't go 1.75842, but just 1.75 will be fine. Okay, let's scroll down. The first part A is pretty basic. And for those listening to this video, if you complete Part A and send it to me in a Word document by email 1 week before, that's 7 days before, that will, for the most part, for example, if it's due on a Wednesday, you'll submit it on the Wednesday before Part A, then I will give you a quiz grade, even if it's not correct. As long as you've completed it all, I will give you a quiz grade. So let's look at our very first pop-out Excel spreadsheet. If I double-click, you can see that I can start typing on this Excel spreadsheet, and I can find this information online by Googling, and that's part of the research, is just finding what the answers are. So it is important that you complete on Excel with Microsoft Word. Notice that there are several at the bottom. Several of these, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get rid of the shading. If I were a student and I saw all of these instructions down at the bottom of this Excel spreadsheet, I would be a little bit nervous, and I completely understand if you feel that way, but all of these instructions down here are me warning you of mistakes that students in the past have made to ensure that you don't make that mistake again in the future. Okay, news article required here. Please read the instructions beginning to end. Officers. Most of the time, students forget that the CFO is an important officer. This is an accounting class. You don't want to forget that. Let's move forward. Part B is a pretty simple financial statement articulation. I've given an example. B2 is asking you to take a look at the balance sheet, just sort of a broad look, to find out if there are significant changes of approximately 5% or more. And just make a few comments in B2, 3, and 4. B5, looking at the statement of cash flows. Comments. Stockholders' equity, similarly. So now when we get to C, I'm asking you to do something that's a whole lot easier than has happened in past years, and that is find this answer somewhere online from a reliable online source. If you need help, shoot me a message and I'll help you. If you can't find the ratio, calculate it yourself. But for the most part, you're going to find the current ratio and the profit margin and so forth. Review your answers for reasonableness. I have seen things like 146% profit margin, which means that for every dollar the company had in revenue, they earned $1.46. Not reasonable. So be very conscientious of the reasonableness of your solutions. This is requiring you to complete, again, another Excel spreadsheet. This is requiring you to complete ratios, and there's several of them in each category, and so you will Google to try to find the answer to this, to each of the ratios that are required in this project, and it shouldn't take you too long to be able to find average day sales turnover or inventory on hand, profit margins, etc. Next, having found the ratios and filled in this spreadsheet template, you will comment on the liquidity and the profitability and long-term solvency based upon the ratios and the solutions that you gave. 4 to 5 sentences on each one. See if you can't look through the management's discussion and analysis, or MD&A, and find some comments from management about what's going on within this company. MD&A has a wealth of information. Common size income statement. I've got a new check, and that means put a big X here to show that you have ensured that all of your numbers properly match the corporate income statement. So you're going to be recording sales minus cost of goods sold equal gross margin in these calculations here, and gosh, I hope that you can remember that sales minus cost of goods sold equal gross margin, and that this is a subtotal. And then when you come into operating expenses, you'll subtract those, and this is a subtotal. My point, most of the time, students in the past have lost points in this area because they did not ensure that their income statement added up, and it meant that they lost points doing their annual report project here. And I don't want that to happen to you. If you've got any questions, as I've always said, please check with me. You're going to make comments based upon the information that you fill in on this common size statement. Moving forward, we're going to be doing a horizontal analysis for the balance sheet. And as we do horizontal analysis, let's see, for example, we will record current assets for the current year and the prior year here. How much is their dollar change and what is their percent change? Now, it's very important that you ensure that all of your assets add up. And frequently, students don't realize how easy it is for me to go back and check that the sum of these three numbers is equal to total assets. And that's very similar for the total liabilities and stockholders' equity. So make sure that you've gotten all of your financial statements to add up properly. Okay, let's move ahead real quickly. Current events. If your company has issued a new annual report or quarterly report, and this is the one where I can catch it, quarterly reports come out every 3 months. It's very likely that your company has issued a new quarterly report. So, for example, Apple's year end is the end of October or very beginning of November. So in the month, that's the month of November, December, and January. At the end of January, they would have issued a new quarterly report. February, March, and April would have been a new quarterly report. So there were two that will need to be discussed in this section of this project. And one last Google search to find a short article. Finally, your overall assessment with 3 to 4 well-worded paragraphs to include information from analyzing your 5 to 10 year trend analysis that you will find in the annual report, and seeing whether or not you think you would invest in this company based on your analysis. Here are several bulleted list items talking about how to save your project, which is going to be important, and just last minute instructions to read. Hope everybody will take some time to do it. Most importantly, I am here to help. Shoot me a message if you have any questions. Good luck. It's an awesome project and one of the capstones of the accounting program that teaches so much to every student that completes this project.